everybody. So there's this little indie movie coming out. You may have heard about it. It's called Star Wars: The Force Awakens. You may or may or not have heard about it. It's kind of, on the DL, but it's coming out next week. And like most people, I'm incredibly excited for this movie. I love Star Wars so much. So I'm going to go back and review the first 6 movies, starting with The Phantom Menace. I'm not even going to beat around the bush about this movie. It sucks. I'm not going to say it's the worst thing I've ever seen. Obviously, there have been plenty of worse movies. But it doesn't take away from the fact that this movie still sucks horribly. Let's get some of the positives, though, out of the way. Darth Maul is a decent villain. He's no Darth Vader or anything. But for the most part, he is a solid villain, and it sucks to the fact that he has to die in this movie because Lucas couldn't commit to one villain for any of the movies. They had to have a new villain every movie, which really took away from the prequel trilogy. Also, oh wait, there really aren't that many positives in this movie. Ewan McGregor is fine. Qui-Gon Jinn, Liam Neeson, he's fine. The problem with this movie is that no matter if you are a decent actor or not, this is the worst freaking script. So much bad in this movie. Starting off with, actors like Jake Lloyd, the little kid who plays Anakin, who is horrendous in this movie. Surprisingly, Natalie Portman is awful in this. She's terrible. She's won an Oscar at this point. But somehow, she freaking started off in this movie, and I guess the talent came from nowhere. She must have just picked it up somewhere, because it was not present in this movie. Not that she really had anything to do with this role. This role is terrible. It was always terrible. But she could have brought something to it. Ewan McGregor brought something to Obi-Wan throughout this series. She didn't bring anything to Padme. Padme is so boring. It's not even funny how boring she is. I just can't stand to watch this. I'm sorry for the lack of professionalism in this video. It's so hard to talk about this movie. It's so bad. The problem is, it's not a good movie. It's just a bad movie, and I've seen worse, like I said. But the thing is, this is Star Wars. And there's a point where you have to hold Star Wars at a different level. And I get it, okay? It's not the worst movie ever made. There are people who defend the prequels who say, well, they're not really that bad. And, well, I think they're wrong. I think they really are as bad as advertised. The big thing is it's Star Wars, okay? Some people say you shouldn't hold that against the movie, but you can't get it out of your brain when you're watching it, so I am going to judge it that way. This is a Star Wars movie. You put Star Wars on the title, I'm going to judge it as a Star Wars movie, and as a Star Wars movie, this is a piece of shit, and I can't stand to watch it. So now I'm going to talk about some technical things that suck with this movie. There's no structure to this film. Things just kind of happen. There's no build-up, there's no progression. Things just open up, there's some sequence of events, things happen, and that's basically the entire mentality of this movie. The way it's directed, edited, put together, it's just things happen, and the next thing happens. And for some movies, that could work. But for this movie, it's a train wreck. It feels like there's no progression. I don't feel like we're building to any point. So when we get to this horribly done final action scene, then really there's no tension or drama in it. And for some reason, Lucas thought that this script was really going to work for his characters. This script is horrible. Jake Lloyd is awful in this movie. But the point is, why is this movie even a thing? You didn't need to have this story be told in a movie. Anakin's story here is not even important. He's not important to this story, but the prequel trilogy is about how he became Darth Vader. So why is he in this movie? Yeah, if we would have started with Attack of the Clones, we still would have had a horrible, shitty movie. But if we did that, we'd only have one shitty movie instead of two shitty movies. But because Lucas for some reason thought that this was a necessary movie to put on screen, we have two shitty Star Wars movies. And if you can't obviously tell, this is spoiling my thoughts on Revenge of the Sith, but I don't care at this point. I really do not like this movie. It's just so bad. And there's really not that many positives. We haven't even got to Jar Jar Binks yet. You know what? I'm not going to talk about Jar Jar Binks. Anything that could be said about Jar Jar Binks has already been said. No, he is not an evil Sith Lord. Please don't go into that bull. He is just so annoying, and that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to talk about him. I do not want to talk about Jar Jar Binks. Let's just talk about all the other shitty things in this movie, because he's not the only one, that's for sure. I really actually don't have much to say left about this movie. I just keep beating the same points in over and over and over again. Darth Maul was a decent villain. There are some okay performances from Liam Neeson and Ewan McGregor. There are some horrible performances from Jake Lloyd and Natalie Portman and basically anybody else in this movie. And yes, the comedy relief is horrible. It doesn't work in this movie. And now there's no comedy relief in the earlier films, but this just doesn't work. It's horrible. I'm just gonna give this movie a D and just be on with it. I'm sorry that this video was so unprofessional, not really probably well put together. I just can't take this movie seriously. I promise my Attack of the Clones review, despite being just as bad as this, will be at least an attempt to be slightly more professional and well put together. If you want to for some reason watch that video, because it probably will not be well put together and well thought out because it's a horrible piece of shit as well, you can subscribe here somewhere on the screen. Thank you for watching. If you hated this movie too, you can comment below. If you want to defend this movie, you can comment below. Woo. I'm sorry, I'm just tired of this. See y'all next time.